Hey, welcome back to The Truth About Marketing. It's Kevin Rogers here. This is going to be cool. YouTube advertising. Are you like me? Does it sort of elude you? I'm sure there's plenty of you listening who go, "No, Kev, it's the one thing I know and love," which is awesome. But I love YouTube and I love making video. I've done most of my advertising for Copy Chief and my events with video, but uh, YouTube just remains this enigma to me. So I was thrilled yesterday to meet Tom Breeze, who is a YouTube advertising expert, and instantly fell in love with Tom for two reasons. Number one, he's really great at explaining how to make the most out of YouTube advertising. And number two, the way he runs his business is he gets paid when you get results. And so if you know about our friend Dean Jackson, that's Dean's big philosophy. What would you do if you only got paid when your client got results? And that's a befuddling idea to a lot of people, but it really shows a level of expertise that gives the client great confidence. And it also guarantees that you're only working with clients that you can succeed with. So thrilled to welcome Tom to the show so we can dig in and learn all about YouTube advertising and a different way to structure your business. So Tom, thanks so much for being here.
It's great to be here. Thank you, Kevin. And normally I get the British accent as one of those two things that people like about me. So it's nice to have other things going on.
Yeah, I got a lot of Brit friends, so I'm kind of used to it. And the fact that you haven't called me Roger yet, we're off to a good start. All my Brit friends in the beginning always think my name's Roger. It's such a common name there, I think, right? So sorry, Kevin, Roger.
Roger's a very it's a very traditional name for us in the UK here. So
yeah, I like it. I don't mind it at all. So yeah, let's just start with YouTube advertising. What it is today. Give me the thumbnail of how I should be thinking about YouTube advertising.
Good question. So really, YouTube for me is the place where the world goes to watch video, right? And the easiest way to explain it is, especially when it comes to the advertising side of YouTube, is that everyone goes through moments during the day. Like we might kind of all of a sudden think, oh, actually, do you know what? I want to learn more about that information, or I want to all of a sudden do something, or I'm maybe in a buying mindset and I want to find out a little bit more information prior to making a purchase. And we'll use places like Google and YouTube for that. And YouTube really is the video version of Google. They're both owned by Google, of course, and it's a platform where video is obviously what's going on YouTube. But we love going there and we love consuming video. And when we go there as consumers, we're going there with that reason to either because we want to know something, do something, or buy something, or potentially be inspired by something. And right now, when we go to YouTube, our normal experience is we press play on a video and an ad will pop up before that video is about to play. And that ad traditionally, and 9 times out of 10, is completely irrelevant to what we're there for. It's normally going to be some sort of 4x4 car driving up a 90-degree hill or something along those lines when we're looking up information about something that's completely different. And that's the way that YouTube's being used right now. And it's the wrong way to do YouTube ads. And so everyone will hear about YouTube ads either two ways. One, it doesn't work and it's rubbish, which is music to my ears because this means that as an agency, I can advertise for a lot longer with very little competition, which is great. But also it's not a great user experience. I think that most people get to YouTube and think, oh, another YouTube ad. That's frustrating. But when you get a really good video ad in front of the video you're about to watch, it can be better. And that's what we always try and do, be better than the video that they're about to go and watch. Like give the user such a good experience that makes them think, actually, hang on a second, I'm going to carry on watching that ad. And then at the end of it, they think, that was such a cool video. Where do I find out more? And you want to get people to that mindset so that you can say, right, click to the website to go and sign up for the next thing. But the beauty is, of course, with video, it's such a powerful medium because it's not just like text where you just got the letters and the words. It's not just, it's got audio in there as well, but it's also got the visuals as well. So if you put together a really good message and are able to illustrate that well, we'll never forget it. There's a lot of scientific studies from the past of memory and there's one by Dr. David Rubin, I think his name was. And prior to like the 90s, 1990s, a lot of psychologists used to believe that, or the way they used to think about memory was like files in a cabinet, so to speak. Like we remember something, put it in a file, put it in a folder, and then shut that cabinet door, and then we can always bring it out should we need to. But he started asking questions around this, and he realized that a lot of people's memories work in very different ways to that. So if you were to shut your eyes and think of the song Hey Jude, then immediately you're probably playing, like listening to Paul McCartney's voice in the background, and you might even remember where you heard it last, or who you heard it first with, or wherever you were.
Right.
And then if you say, right, now think about the texture of a watermelon, it's impossible to not also think about the color of a watermelon and the red fruit and the green rind, etc. And so these memories are actually much more interconnected. Just because you're told to think of one thing, it brings about every other different type of sense, and it brings about other memories as well. And he has a whole list of these different things. But that's exactly what happens when you have an engaging video, is that you can get in front of someone, and if you give them a good experience, they'll remember you, they won't forget you, and it's almost like this huge branding opportunity. But of course, the ROI from YouTube advertising right now is great as well. So the whole big picture really is to get in front of your customers when they're looking for you, be really useful, and you tend to find that works incredibly well as an advertising philosophy, so to speak, on YouTube.
Awesome. And I want to get into some of the stuff you shared with me yesterday that I thought was fascinating about how YouTube is sort of adjusted their algorithm to make the ads you see more relevant, right? But before we do that, I want to talk about that ad that pops up, right? So someone's there, they're looking for whatever they're searching for. Let's just talk about the ad itself. What is tell me how this works, where it's what, 5 seconds and then you can skip the ad, right? So most people are just sitting there counting the seconds. As soon as it says skip ad, they're ready to click that. So what do you got, about 5 seconds to win somebody over and change their mind about sticking with you?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people really focus on that first 5 seconds, because they want to make sure it's kind of like almost like a pattern interrupt. You do something that grabs someone's attention, and that's important to do that at the start of a video, of course. But if you're being relevant, that's a pattern interrupt enough on YouTube. If you see, say for example, you're looking for more information about a destination of like a holiday you're about to go on, and then a ad came up and said, "Hey, look, if you're looking to do some things in San Diego this weekend, here's the top 5 things you can do in the weekend in San Diego." If you said that in the first 5 seconds and you were about to go to San Diego, you'd be like, "Okay, I'm definitely sticking around for this ad." It doesn't have to be a huge pattern interrupt. The fact that you're being relevant and personalized to someone's search is a pattern interrupt enough.
Right.
And that works really well. So you do want to make sure you're quite upfront in the first 5 seconds to tell people what the video is going to be about, really, or at least grab their attention in using something like a pattern interrupt. That can work really well. But yeah, I would say that a lot of the time, just being very relevant to what people have been searching for, and you have all those tools available to you,
Right.
means that works really well.
So it's not about, you don't have to do something totally crazy, wacky, and make people go, say what? It's really relevance wins the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that fits very well with my British mentality. So, yeah, so I mean, of course, you can get the "say what" response. I can't say it in that accent; it's too good. But I think that, like, so the way I've come from a psychology background, and there's something called a schema violation
Mm.
that I got taught, and it's a very jargony type thing, but it's like a pattern interrupt. So it's like, the first thing you want to do is make sure you grab someone's attention by being a bit different, because it tears their schema a little bit. So it's like what you expected to happen in the world. Oh, like, here's another YouTube ad. You do something very different, so it kind of like it tears apart what they were expecting. So it's like, oh, this is different. But then because you've made that tear, the viewer's mind is trying to repair that as quickly as possible by learning new information, and that gives you a huge opportunity to get your message to stitch that tear back together again, and then they never forget you. So it's kind of like, if you can pull them, like, in a very quick video, like let's say 90 seconds or something along those lines, if you can tell them a story or bring them around to kind of like understand a different way of thinking or a new philosophy of thinking, then that makes them repair their schema almost with you as a brand involved with that. So every time they then think about you, anything around that sort of topic, they immediately think of you again. That's kind of how we think about it.
Just quickly, I want to identify schema the way we're using it here. The way I understand schema comes from I think it was a psychologist who wrote a book called Reinventing Your Life. Are you talking about that same kind of schema things that happen to us when we're young sort of help develop these schemas that we walk around with? And that's how we view the world, or are you using it differently?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't actually read that book, but I mean the schema that I'm thinking of is like your representation of the world, what you're coming to expect, your kind of beliefs,
Right.
your what you're expecting to happen.
Yeah.
So I've recently moved into a new office, and it's got these glass doors, and it's got like two glass doors in the reception afterwards, and it's a new and I look. It's got a weird way of getting into that. You've got to get a card, then you've got a code, and then you have to push. I know how to get through normal doors, don't get me wrong, but this one was a bit confusing, especially on day one. And because they're glass, the reception could just see me and were laughing at me. And there's a guy behind me waiting to get in as well. But in the UK, we don't offer up advice to people. It's just too impolite to do that. So we just let people strugll in this
That's funny.
scenario. Yeah. And so
You
yeah, I was
laugh
trying
about
to
it
work
later,
it
at
out.
least, like at the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, we might do. Yeah, or just be like, hold our head in shame, maybe. But so I was there at this glass door, and I was trying to get it all to work. And if the guy behind me had said something like, "Oh no, to get through the door, you have to tap your leg 3 times, and then it works," I probably would have tried it. Just because I was in that like frantic state of like, this
Yeah.
is a bit weird and embarrassing, and I'm willing to learn anything right now to repair the
Right.
schema because I can't get through this door.
Right.
So you'd have a schema around everything, like how to open doors. You know that if there's a handle or as a push or as it's electronic, you'd know how the door would work, so to
Got you.
speak.
Right. So you're talking
So
about
yeah,
sort
that's
of
kind of the schema.
right, like a walking knowledge of how things generally work. And if something right interrupts that, like you said, in that moment, you were very receptive to instruction because you were faced with what should be a really common scenario of opening a door and had no idea how to make it work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. So if you
Yeah.
can start the YouTube ad off in a slightly different way,
Right.
I think that works really well. So Burger King did a great pre-roll ad on YouTube where it's a few years old now, but they started an ad with two guys sitting at a Burger King table, and as soon as the ad begins, they both just like go, "Oh, another YouTube ad," but immediately kind of like it makes you laugh because you're
Right.
like, "Yeah, that's what I was thinking," and then
Right.
it's a very different kind of like it just grabs your attention from the very beginning, and then you're open to hear what they have to say. Which is the incredible deal, apparently, that they've got at Burger King. So it's just a clever way of doing it. Yeah.
Twice the fat for half the money. But
Yeah.
but that's also the copywriter philosophy of enter the conversation playing out in your prospect's head, right? Which is
Mm.
exactly that moment. Now, quick question about that 90 seconds we talked about, and then we'll move on to bigger ideas about how YouTube advertising works. Um, in that 90 seconds, is there a more proven formula for that amount of attention? Like, is it like, a famous one we use in copywriting is like AIDA, right? Um,
Mm.
Attention, interest, desire, action, or, do we point out a problem that we feel like our prospect has and quickly go into the unique solution we have for it? Or what do we do at that time?
Yeah, so we try and keep it down to around about 90 seconds. If we can get it down to 60 seconds, all the better. And and the way that we tend to do it, and it'd be interesting to see your opinion of this as well, because obviously you're an expert in this area. What we normally start off with what the customer's immediate want is, and we look to prioritize as well. That a customer could have like 4 things they want and different things they want when they get to the video. We just try and keep with the one core message because it's so difficult to interrupt someone and teach them more than or tell them more than one thing or let them focus on more than one thing. So we just think of that one want that's going to be the priority. And then because they're coming to YouTube to learn something, right? They're coming there to because they want to know something, do something, or buy something, and they've come to YouTube prior to just going out there and doing it. So if you needed to fix your car, let's say for example, then you'll go to YouTube because you think, well, I can't just go in straight away into my car and just start fixing things, and I don't know what I need to do first. There's something that's standing in their way of actually achieving the result they want to get.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, we'll document that down, and we'll be like, right, that's the thing. And we try and make it as we try and personify it as clearly as we can. So we're trying to turn it into some sort of thing that we can point out. We say, that thing there, that's the thing that's stopping us. We don't try and make it too much about an emotion just yet. We will pull on that as soon as we identify what it is, but we try and turn it into something that is a problem. Like I don't know. I think it's Allstate in the US. I didn't see many of these ads, but I saw them on YouTube. They had Mayhem. I'm not sure if you saw those.
Great campaign.
Yeah, so it's like, great campaign. And it's like, it's that guy personifying mayhem that means that I should get insurance because of that thing, that guy there.
So it's entertaining, but it really puts in your face like, that could happen. And what would I do? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And instead of just being like an insurance advert where it's like, hey, these things could happen, and it's this one thing could happen to you. He's almost out on the mission to get you type thing, and he wants to get you.
Right.
You'll see it with like detergents and cleaning products in the kitchen. They'll tend to like show bacteria as little animals, or kind of like little
nasty cartoons.
Yeah, exactly. And it's trying to kind of personify the problem if we can, or build it into something like an object or something we can say that is the thing that's stopping us from getting what we want. And as soon as you have that, you've kind of got the objective and the obstacle, and those two things in any film writing or anything else,
right,
tends to be you've got the story.
That's right.
Right now,
got to have conflict, right, and then you have tension. Once you have, you need a protagonist, which really in this case, for the most part, is your viewer. You want them to play the role of the hero, but you need to give them a lens to see that through. You create a desire, you put an object in front of it, and now you have tension and conflict. And it's like, how do you solve this problem? Make your product the sort of the hero that's going to help the viewer as the hero achieve this result.
Exactly. Yeah. So once we've done those two things, well, then we need to make sure we show we care. So we're like, and we understand as the person that's going to help them, help the viewer, and then and also give them a little bit of credibility. So we have clients who tell us like they're so good at so many different things, and that's great. But in the viewer's mind, in 60 seconds or 90 seconds, they're just like, it's if you say you can help, I just want to have like one tick of the box. Like, don't overdo it on the credibility. Like one statement's fine, or one image of you up on stage in front of an audience, that's great. Like anything like that could just immediately just tick the box of credibility in the viewer's mind. And then you just want to say, hey, I understand. So showing you care, and then demonstrate that you can actually help them. And we'd normally say like, make it a 3-point method or a formula or a system or something along those lines. Like make it easy for someone just to see and get immediately. So it's like, oh, there's a 3-step plan here. Great. I got it.
Right. And make it feel unique to you. Yeah. So this is great. I was want to quickly, because this is cool, because I have some formulas. I love formulas. Right. And I have a thing called the 60-second sales hook that really fits into what we're saying. And the formula is identity, struggle, discovery, result. This is pretty much what we just described, right? It's a little shrunken hero's journey. And the other thing you mentioned is something Todd Brown teaches so well, which is, always have a unique mechanism to your solution, right? Give it a name. Maybe it's an acronym, that 3-step process you talked about. Make that feel proprietary so that the person who receives the message won't just go Google it and find 10 or 10,000 other possible solutions, right? Make it feel like, oh, this person has really invented the unique solution to this problem. So, all right, fantastic. I feel very qualified to create a 90-second ad like this now. Awesome.
But do you know, if you've done the schema violation earlier as well, this is the model that will be lodged into someone's mind as well, because it's like, now I have something that I can hold on to. So I'm a little blueprint, so to speak, that says that's the thing that I'm going to use. And then everything else they might learn later on and be like, that kind of fits into the model I've already got. That I see how that would. And so they're starting to use your model and your way of working as their framework, so to speak.
That's right. That's when you have a customer for life, and you've really won them over with the value you're giving them. And they look, we're all being very selective now. Everybody has information overload. Nobody needs more information. they need prescriptions. And for that, they want to trust the prescriber. And so the more specific and somewhat unique you can make your solutions, the more engagement and commitment you're going to get from your customer. Hey, it's Kev here. And if you like this podcast, then you are going to love the Copy Chief app. Total, custom, easy to use, smooth phone app where you can listen to every podcast episode, plus get all the show notes, and dig it. You can listen right inside the app, even when your phone is in the locked position. Super cool. Plus, right there in the same app, you get access to all the great free Copy Chief content to help you write better, higher converting copy. Plus, members can access the private form area right from the mobile app. It's available for you for free right now wherever you get your apps. Apple, Android, go get it. Download the Copy Chief app today because nobody writes alone. All right, so let's talk about the relevance now. You were telling me yesterday that YouTube has made some adjustments to where the videos ads that they're seeing now aren't quite as random. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's never been that random, but it's been most brands will just be out there and they think, oh, it's just a brand awareness campaign. Let's just show it to everybody who's between the ages of this age and this age, and just kind of go wide on their targeting. And it doesn't really need to be like that. So you've got so many different types of targeting options available to you. The ones that I think, apart from things like demographics that are obvious ones and kind of like your device that you're on, you can separate all of those out and locations and things. The ones that I that we'll use quite often are the search behavior and then the interest behavior as well. So search would be down to things like keywords that people are typing in. Now, the way that keywords work on YouTube is it's not just the keyword they've just typed in, so to speak. So let's say, for example, you go to YouTube, you type in how to improve my sales, let's say, for example, and you'll see a load of results on the first page. You can have your ads there, and they're called discovery ads. And then you can click through to a video, and then you might see your pre-roll ad. If you're the advertiser and you've chosen how to improve my sales, you'll show up on all the different videos that are around sales, which is great, or how to improve my sales. But also, it's tied into the viewer's recent search history as well. So let's say, for example, they went to Google, and then 20 minutes later, they end up on YouTube, and they're watching a different video altogether. Let's say, for example, you go and watch, I don't know why, Justin Bieber. I don't know why that came to my mind, but Justin Bieber.
That's on you, man. That's a personal issue, but we'll go with it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So let's just say that might happen. You typed in the keyword that's the relevant one earlier, like how to improve my sales. Then 20 minutes later, you're watching a Justin Bieber video that's completely unrelated.
Are you still dressed at this point? That's my question.
I'm partially. It's fine. Yeah. By the end of the video, you never know. Yeah, so like you typed in the keyword, you're seeing this Justin Bieber video that's irrelevant to the recent search, but because you recently typed it in, it'll carry through for the advertisers so that you can still advertise that person that typed in how to improve my sales on any video they might watch.
Right.
Which means you've got a lot more reach, and also it keeps it relevant to the viewer, which is great. So keywords are really powerful.
And how do they determine, like, what's the timeline on that particular search? For instance, if now so maybe somebody borrowed my computer and typed in about sales, right? And now I'm back in Bieber mode. And like, when does it switch over and go, no, actually this person's way more into Bieber and we need to advertise Bieber merch to this person and not sales material?
So the fact that Google are tracking everything. So they'll track the fact that you are looking for more leads and also wanting more Bieber, like all of us. So they'll know those
Bieber factor. That's
yeah, they'll now have two things on you. Yeah.
Okay.
So that window of time is not crystal clear from Google. They don't tell you that, but they will. They'll say it's a session. So a session could be, I've seen them define a mobile session as 40 minutes. And also it could be when you close down the browser as well. That's from my AdWords buddies. They tell me this could be what it's all based on. But it's a recent time window, and also it can be when you kind of close down the browser. If you started up another one, you would lose that recent search history.
Interesting.
For advertising.
Okay, great. So right, so we have relevance to, again, it's not just that they typed it in that immediate time. There's some undetermined length of time where Google will consider this a session and apply the appropriate keywords. And again, then it comes down to what do you do with that 5 seconds, and then what do you do with that 90 seconds should you win it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Tom,
exactly.
let's talk about you showed me this great video from one of your clients. Oh, and I want to get into how you work with clients, but let's just finish up with the examples of how to do this well. And I'll link this video in the show notes for everybody. But I thought it was really well done. Tony Policastro is a guitar instructor, and anybody knows who's ever searched for guitar instructions, it is a very crowded field. Tell us how Tony came to stand out and really do well with YouTube advertising.
Yeah, for sure. So Tony has an incredible platform for teaching people how to play guitar. And we started off with just a normal ad, like we talked about here, like a 60 to 90-second ad, promoting people to his. It's an online workshop. So in the guitar world, that makes sense to them. For marketers, it would be just a webinar, basically. And he was doing them all live. Now we've gone more to an evergreen model. But So what we were doing was we're sending traffic from YouTube based on people's search behavior, looking for guitar video and education, getting our ad in front of them, and they were kind of watching the video and then clicking to the website and then buying. And we did a lot of data analysis, and we realized that there'll be about I can't remember exactly the proportions, but there were a lot of people that were newbies to guitar. So they've recently been bought a guitar, they bought one themselves, and they're like, cool, I just want to learn how to play guitar now. And then there were a large proportion of people that would be people in a rut. So people who have played guitar for a long time, maybe own 3 or 4 guitars, but they just haven't improved their game for a while. And as a result, they were going back onto YouTube and thinking, how do I improve my guitar? How do I get better? Because I've hit a bit of a plateau. And so we identified this, and Tony knew this a little bit from his audience anyway. And we were like, okay, well, let's apply this back to the video then. The first impression that we have with a viewer has to be the best we can make it. I had a good analogy from James Schramko, actually, where I'm sure he's kind of like, there's lots of different ways of expressing this, but it's almost like if you go into the coffee shop for the first time ever, that makes 100% of your experience at that coffee shop. So it better be good, otherwise you're not returning. Whereas if it's your 100th time, you've had 99 great experiences and then 1 was bad, you'll kind of let that off a little bit. But obviously with a YouTube ad, it's the first time you've got in front of somebody. So we want to make sure that we give the best experience. And we thought to ourselves, well, when someone's watching that video, they're either going to be in a mindset of like, is this right for me? Is this kind of like, is Tony's workshop going to be right for me? And they're going to base it based on their identity, how they see themselves, newbie or rut. And so we decided at the end of the video, instead of getting a click to the website, we phrased it all in a similar way to what we've been talking about here with the structure. And at the end, instead of a call to action, which was like click to go back to the website to get to the workshop, instead we said, hey, look, before we teach you exactly how to become a much better at guitar, I want to make sure I tailor this to where you're at right now. So let me know, are you as a newbie to guitar, new to guitar, or are you someone that is already experienced and just feel you're in a bit of a rut? And we just used 2 different clicks. So you give an option of A or B. But I love the idea of choosing A or B as opposed to yes or no, because it means that your brain goes into a false dichotomy type thing of like, I've got to click one of them. Which one am I going to click?
Interesting, right?
And also it tailors the content to the viewer, which is that's what we're really going for. Like how can we make this personalized to the viewer? So if they clicked new, then they will go through to a new style video for people that are just like brand new to guitar, and he would educate them on a really clever strategy to improve their guitar, and then click to the workshop. And then, of course, if they were on that first initial ad and they saw the rut button, they'd be like, yeah, that's me, rut. And they click it and they go through to another YouTube video, which would be about educating them based on the fact that they are in a rut, and then click them through to the workshop after that.
Yeah.
But it meant that we kind of started off this thing called Choose Your Own Adventure. And that's kind of what we were doing. I don't know if you remember reading those books when you were younger, where like fight the dragon, turn to page 13 and run away, turn to page 36 or whatever. It's kind of that idea and allowing the viewer to choose their own adventure. And as a result, the opt-in rates went up by like 50%. The buyer rates went up at the same rate. It was crazy how well that ad continues to perform. I think we're like 6.5 million views to that video now, all paid, none or very few organic views.
Awesome.
And it just continues to work. But it's all about kind of coming back to the story, like drawing board with any ad campaign we're doing, and just trying to work out how to give the best user experience. Because get that bit right, then conversion follows and ROI follows, because YouTube's algorithms end up helping you out as well. If you get a good experience, and you should see some of the comments on the videos that you click through to, they're like people saying, this is the best ad I've ever seen, and I love this ad, and which is very rare for a YouTube ad for people actually to like it.
That's for sure, yeah.
But YouTube are tracking all of that, and so if they see that you're putting a really good ad out there, they give you more exposure. They kind of like they make it cheaper for you, and they just because they know that the user is going to get a good experience, the advertiser is going to get some good results, the whole platform works then. And so it's that's been a really, really big breakthrough for us.
Yeah, it's really great. It's if a lot of our listeners are very familiar with Ryan Levesque and the ask method and the importance of understanding where your customer is, the pain they're in, not talking to your customers after you've helped them solve their problem, which is great to get a testimonial, but understanding where they are before they've solved their problem. And a simple segmentation like you did here, it's just like, you said you search the data to find this. You're like, a large amount of people are here, like absolutely brand new to this whole, what is this? How do I even hold this thing? Right. How do I make noise with this thing? And identifying and then segmenting. And the beauty of it is normally to do some segmentation, it happens, somewhat in real time. You'll get a pop-up as you go to download your free thing. And report or video series, and you can quickly customize the video they'll see on the next page. But this is like real time, right? The boxes come up at the top. I think it's a great tip about A/B rather than yes, no. You choose one. It's really very clear too. I mean, you're either one or the other, right? The way Tony explains it, you're very clear on which you are. And then boom, you're getting custom content right there. So it doesn't surprise me at all that the results were so amazing. But I love that we have this ability now to be so custom and really give the value and have the conversation that needs to be had. Think of the difference. It seems maybe simple if you're familiar with segmentation, but just think back for a minute on when we didn't have this ability and you had to put out what you hoped was your best message, and how many people it was just irrelevant to, or they just weren't, they were either a step behind or a step ahead of you in the process of needing what you were offering. Incredible. So that's a great case study, Tom. Let's talk about quickly. I just love the way you've structured this. How did you get to the point where you're like, look, I'm only going to work with clients I absolutely know I can get results from, and I don't want to get paid until those results happen?
Yeah, the evolution of that has been an interesting one, because so the agency that I run now, we used to specialize in SEO, so getting videos ranked on YouTube and Google. And when things started becoming very volatile in that marketplace, I kind of predicted it. I was like, okay, things are changing quickly for websites, and videos are like 6 months behind. But I was like, this is happening, and there's loads of agencies that are struggling to get any results with SEO any longer. And so I just said, you know what, I've got to start testing some new stuff out. And I took one of my clients and I spent my own money promoting his video that we had for his SEO approach. And I said, well, do you know what, I'm going to run this as an ad on YouTube. I've never done this before, but I did have an agency, a business in the past which I built off AdWords. So I was quite familiar with the platform. Started using this YouTube video as an ad for the client, and the amount of money that I was spending on staff and software to do all the SEO stuff versus just paying for the ad, I was like, this makes so much more sense to run some ads, because I was starting to see some great results, and we could just scale. We didn't have to go for one keyword. We could go for not millions, but lots of these different keywords we could go for the client. all proving really high ROI. And so I went to the client and said, hey, look, SEO is getting more volatile. Would you like to get into advertising as well? He was like, yeah, the results look great. Great. And I said, well, why don't you just pay us per lead? Because I'm not sure what it's going to be like as we scale and all sorts of stuff. And he was like, yeah, cool, let's go for that then. And immediately just saw the numbers straight away. I could see what the numbers were on my end. He could see his numbers as well. And it just made sense to work on a cost per lead basis. And so we started growing it. And I just realized the relationship we had versus other agencies, advertising agencies, was very much like, it felt like we're in it together. We could, like, I could spend my money testing a load of stuff and it wouldn't impact the client. So I could just go on off and say, right, I'm going to test this for a couple of months and see what happens. The client would never need to know about it because he's just getting all these leads coming in and he's just paying his fee for the leads. But also, because the client and I were both benefiting together, we're both growing together, it didn't feel like he was paying me a fee or a percentage of ad spend, because obviously it wasn't, but it didn't feel like that at all. It felt very much like, hey, we're winning together. And so we had a much stronger relationship. He wasn't too bothered about having reports and trying to do all this data analysis. He was just saying, great, I've got this many leads and here's my invoice paid, done. And so it was a really good relationship. And I just started applying that same formula to a lot of other clients. And it's just meant that the businesses, we've been able to grow a lot quicker. We've been able to learn quicker. So all the benefits has been big for us. But of course, for any client, it's the easy way to get started, right? It's kind of like just, yeah, like I don't have to pay anything until I get results. Great, let's go for it. And the only thing we have to worry about.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's a true partnership.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing we have to worry about is making sure we take on the right clients, which takes a bit of getting used to sometimes. But we can like see them really quick. And of course, we take a bit of a risk every now and again because we're not sure if it's going to work or not. But let's give it a go because we feel like they're a cool company to work with, and it looks like it should work. So let's go for it. And 9 times out of 10, it does. We're good at like understanding who we can help and go for it. Not to say my success record has been 100% by any stretch, but like it's kind of like knowing who you can help and really expanding that out is a really exciting project because then everyone's winning together and it's a fun place to be. But of course, it's the easiest way to not have to do too much marketing myself either, because it's like you just get so many referrals. And then I say, I think that any companies that we've wanted to work with have always been a yes in the end, because it's like they don't have to pay for anything until they get results. So it's an easy sell as well.
Right. Yeah. But I loved the idea that you're in this together, and they do have a role, of course, which is create the ad. And that's where, I know it could probably get tricky. So when you go into these relationships, when you're considering somebody, what are give me the few boxes that you need to tick to feel like you're ready to go ahead with somebody? Is their ability to create a good video ad part of it?
It's going to be a small part of it. So the biggest things we want to make sure that we have is like a really, really good, compelling offer and good numbers behind that as well, in terms of it's not just a funnel they've built in the last week. It's something they've been running for a little while now, and they're kind of quite familiar with their numbers. Maybe they're running some Facebook ads or something along those lines, and they're getting good results, and they're just looking to scale or diversify. Those tend to be good starting points from a product standpoint, because we need to make sure we can actually it sells. That's the bit that we're completely out of control on. And then also we need to make sure that their audience is likely to go to YouTube. And it's a natural place for them to be. So let's say, for example, the guitar niche, we just know there's so many people going to YouTube for exactly that content. So it's an easy one. Not easy to necessarily kind of beat the game, all the competition and things, but we just know that the audience are going to be there. And if you said like, oh, I run a construction company and we sell like this very particular type of truck or something along those lines, I mean, it can only be sold to this type of person, I'll be like, YouTube's not the platform for you, because it's just, you're not going to be able to get in front of that audience. So you need to make sure your audience are kind of going to YouTube searching, or at least going there for that. They want to know something, do something, buy something, or potentially be interested by something. And so that make sure the audience are there, make sure there's a good offer. And then obviously the next part of it is making sure we can create a really good video ad. And we do all the scripting here in the agency, and we do all the editing of the videos. And so as long as the company that we're working with has the ability to kind of produce a video, so let's say, for example, they're presenter-led, there's someone in the business that can speak, then we just say, go down to the studio and make sure you present this. you don't have to be like a top salesperson or a really good presenter on video, because people aren't really looking for that. People are looking to connect with someone who can communicate clearly. So, of course, if someone's really good at presenting, all the better. Great, that's fine. But it's not like we can't get success with someone who's like an everyday person, so to speak, building a personal brand sort of thing.
Right.
I don't have to be an expert speaker.
Right.
But that can help. But sometimes we go for animation route. Sometimes we can do like some B-roll footage and use that as well with like voiceover and things. There's different ways that we can create videos that still work really well. But as long as there's an audience, as long as there's an offer that's compelling, then the video just sits in the middle of that and connects the two. And that's the bit where we can kind of have control over, so to speak.
Right. Fantastic. Wow. So you do it all. You said you do the scripting and editing of the video in-house. So again, very hands-on. You have control over the process in making sure that you're putting something up that's bound to work.
Yep.
I love it, Tom. It's been a great episode. I feel like we could do a whole part 2 just on getting into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of these videos themselves, and in the metrics behind a campaign like this. So I don't know. I see a part 2 on the horizon if you'd be up for it. I'm very interested in you and I potentially teaming up together on some campaigns. I think it's YouTube is a platform for me personally that I know I could do well on. Again, it's just been a bit of an enigma to me. As business owners, we always have just this limited bandwidth for diving in and really figuring something out, right? So I just love that you're doing this right. You're taking on all the risk with the right kind of clients, and I love it. I love it all.
Well, it sounds like good.
So thank you. I'm a fan. I'm a fan, Tom.
It's good to hear.
And look, the Bieber thing it means nothing to me. Like, that is your personal business, and I think it's also beautiful.
I just thought we could connect on something,
Awesome. All right, Tom Breeze. It is tombreeze.com. TOMBREEZE. TomBreeze.com. Go learn from Tom. Go see if maybe you potentially qualify to work with Tom and his agency on these campaigns and see some amazing results. Like Tom said, a lot of people just looking right past YouTube because it seems like it's not for them. And Tom's glad about that because it just means more good loving for him and his clients. So thank you, Tom. Really look forward to talking again.
That's great, Roger. Thanks so much.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that podcast. And if you want to get more information and more great content just like that, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. You'll see the button on the video right now.